David McDaniel, and I'm here to talk to you about what it was like to become a Google Cloud Certified Fellow and what it means to our customers. So first, the process was quite lengthy and in-depth. It comprised of three major areas. The first was being nominated. We were nominated by our partner development manager at Google. And then the first piece was to fill out a Google form, and that consisted of some basic background information, plus some answers to questions like, why is hybrid or multi-cloud computing valuable to customers? When do you use it? When do you not use it? Things like that. So that took me, a few hours to really write up an answer that made sense and I was happy with. So once you submit that, it's reviewed, and then assuming you move on to the next phase being technical testing. So they use Qwiklabs as a platform for doing three-hour tests. You get one opportunity to do each test, so it was quite a bit of work and studying to make sure I was prepared for this. It was largely focused on Anthos and all the surrounding products around Anthos, like Anthos Service Mesh, Anthos Configuration Management, etc. And it was very, very in-depth and detailed. You had to create your GKE cluster, convert it to an Anthos cluster, install Anthos Service Mesh, install Anthos Configuration Management. Pretty simple, straightforward tasks. But then you had to create security policies to disallow some pods from communicating with others. You had to implement binary authentication, implement various RBAC roles and identities, some secrets, some config maps, some things that are very important in the Kubernetes and Anthos world. Anthos Service Mesh is basically Anthos-ized Istio. So it does all of the monitoring and traceability, observability between all of your pods. So it has its own Google Cloud Console for Anthos, and it shows you graphically and numerically how your pods, how they're communicating, how they're operating, response times, error rates, things like that. Anthos Configuration Management there's no real equivalent in the open source world. So what it does is really turn your cluster fleet management from an imperative style of, hey, let's go create a namespace or go create an RBAC policy or a security policy, into a declarative style, where you declare everything in a Git repo, associate that with your clusters, and it allows you to manage your clusters using that declarative GitOps style methodology that so many people are familiar with these days. Really is a game changer once you start scaling out even your GKE or your Anthos clusters, regardless whether they're in Google Cloud or on-premise or in another cloud. So that was 9 hours of testing in total, and I did not score perfectly on all three. I believe I did on 2 of the 3, but I did move on nonetheless to the final phase, which was an interview phase. You're interviewed by 3 people, and again, they break it into 3 sections. The first being leadership, second being technical acumen, and the third being business skills. You're presented with a set of 3 business use cases you can choose from, and you're required to create a complete solution architecture for the use case. And this one that I chose involved deploying the company's application globally into many different countries around the world on different continents, and many where there wasn't necessarily a Google Cloud region. So you had to deal with using other cloud service providers or data centers to stand up and operate your infrastructure. Anthos and Google Cloud have been chosen by the company, so you had free reign of using all the different technologies available, and it was a very challenging interview. Honestly, I felt like I failed miserably after I finished the interview and kind of gave up and said, okay, well, that was a nice exercise. I learned a lot. But I was fortunately awarded the fellowship 2 weeks later. That was a tough 2 weeks to wait. But overall, it's been a great experience. I did learn quite a bit. I learned some things that maybe I needed to study more on. Questions that they did not get a satisfactory answer on. I needed to continue learning. Big factor for me is always learn. So how this really makes a difference to our clients is, like other certifications, it ensures that that we have this experience, expertise, and knowledge to deal with your specific customer issues and business problems. But this is, again, being a higher level certification and so much effort into it. I am the 26th Google Fellow, and that was a year ago. They're, I think, up to 49 as of last week. So it's a pretty small group of people that Google feels is qualified to do this. And it really just brings that assurance that we can deal with your specific business problems on a very global scale, regardless whether you're in or outside of Google Cloud. That is a very big focus on hybrid and multi-cloud computing, which I'm a very strong believer in these days. And that's really what I want to talk to you about today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of our Cloud Bakers or Clinic Cloud experts. We'd be happy to talk to you. Thanks for watching.